from debt, but even turned it into a county and a real miracle. At that moment, the queen's statue was covered in flowers because the people were rejoicing. At that moment, the protagonist and his assistants were dancing around this statue to praise the queen. They continued to dance on the square in front of the statue of Alicia. Lloyd clenched his crossed fingers and sweatily declared that they should shout louder so that the queen herself could hear them. At that moment, the messenger looked in bewilderment from under his hat at how they wished the queen long life. Then this messenger stood on the carpet in front of the queen and declared that they continued to shout the same thing over and over again. At that moment, the queen, furious, screamed that the messenger should tell them to stop doing this. At that time, the Viscount was riding a horse along a snowy path. Racona, sweating, was frantically riding a horse in order to make it in time. He immediately fell on the rug in front of the Count who was calling him. At that time, Arcas was sitting calmly at the table, raising his hand and saying that there was no need for formalities, because he was not yet accustomed to his status as a Count. At that moment, the Viscount pressed his long nose into the rug, sweating his brow, and said that he objected, because with his impeccable pedigree and excellent character, there was no other candidate in the world who would be better suited for this role. At that time, the Viscount sullenly pressed his long nose into the rug and was indignant that Arcas could become a Count. He remembered how he and his comrades mocked Arcas, because at various receptions he constantly ridiculed him for his poverty and looked down on him so many times. Now Arcas sat with a smile, crossing his fingers. Because it was all in the past, now he just needed to be more polite to him, although he really disliked him, and if he could take advantage of his softness, he would definitely be able to survive. At this time, the Viscount was lying on the carpet in front of the new Count, who reminded him that by royal decree they were instructed to rebuild the East. The Viscount immediately said that he would like to express his gratitude and appreciation for the trust. Arcas raised his eyebrows in surprise and stated that they lacked manpower and therefore he had a request to Racona. Racona continued to lie on the carpet in front of the new Count, who was at the table, and wondered if the Viscount could lend him his engineers.